Hello and welcome to the lecture of performance management paper F5, and today we are going to discuss the topic learning curve. Learning curve is one of the most easiest topic and it is very important for exams. One question usually comes from this topic in your exams, and today we are going to discuss this topic. So what learning curve is? It is related to our real life. Let's see what learning curve are they are saying. The learning curve is a statistical relationship which establishes the fact that the labor time per unit falls as a complex task is repeated. So they are saying that when the labor become more experienced, they become familiar with the product, they will going to take less time to produce the next product. You can take an example from your own life, like remember the time when you're using the keyboard for the first time, and you have no idea where the letter A, where the letter B is. You're facing difficulty in typing. So now you do not have to find the words in the keyboard. You know where the letters are. You became familiar with the product. You have used that particular keyboard so many times that now you know where the letters are. So similar is the concept of the learning curve, which is based on the labor force, that when the labor force is producing the first unit for the first time, they will going to consume more time to produce that unit. But when they become familiar with that unit, that product, that how to produce that product, now they become familiar and they will going to consume less time to produce the additional units or the next units, right? So this is about the learning curve concept, which is related to our real life. Now let us look the use of the learning curve. It is used to forecast two things: the production time and the labor cost. Learning effect is exactly the same when the labor force become experienced and they become a new product for the first time. They will going to consume more time, and when they become experienced, they will going to consume less time to produce the additional units. So learning rate is expressed in the percentage value, that is 80%. For example, 80% learning curve. Now let us see with the help of diagram of learning curve. So as you can see that on y-axis we have average time per unit, or and on x-axis we have number of units. And you can see that this line is in the curve form. Why this line is in the curve form? A big question. So let me clear this concept, that why this is in a curve form. So as you can see here, the learning curve diagrams, I have made two diagrams. Now here I am showing that if the learning curve, or we say learning curve, but if this line is in a straight form, it's simply representing that at certain point it will going to cut the unit line. So what it is representing, that zero time is being used to produce these number of units. For sake for example, you say these are 45 units, right? 45 units. So for producing 45 units, the labor is taking zero time. Do you think is it possible that zero time is being used when you're producing some units? I don't think so, because every unit takes some time to get prepared, to get produced. So that's why this line always is shown in a curve form, because it shows that at certain point a point will come when the labor become such an experience that they will not going to uh, now they will not have to consume more time to produce that product. Now the labor forces become so much experience that there is no more learning for them, and they will going to use an average time, a constant time to produce the further units, right? So that's why this line is always in a curve form. And here you can see this is the slope represented by b, and it has a formula, and we will going to look at it in our next slides. So let's start now. First of all, the methods of learning curve, how we can find this learning curve by two methods. Method one is the tabular approach, and method number two is the algebraic approach. we will see what is tabular approach and algebraic approach. Now, the first, we are going to discuss the tabular approach. Now you're saying that the first unit takes 100 hours to get produced, right? And the learning curve is 80%. Now you can see here in the table, this is a tabular form, and the first column is of units, and then the average time, and then the cumulative time. Cumulative time is the total time. So now when we are producing the first unit, the average time to produce that unit is 100 hours, because it's the first unit, so the total time is also be 100 hours. Now we are producing 2 units. Now as we are producing 2 units, now here the learning curve applies. What we are going to do, we are going to multiply 100 into 80%, right? Means 100 into 80%, we are going to get 80, and right, 100 into 80%, we are going to get 80. So now we know that to produce producing 2 units, the average time we're going to consume is 80 hours. So now if we are producing 2 units, it means that 80 plus 80, we are going to consume 160 hours to produce 2 units, right? And now we are going to produce 4 units more. So now for that, the learning curve again applies. Now we are going to apply the learning curve 80% on 80 hours, right? Because now the first unit take 100 hours and labor become experienced. Now they are going to take 80 average hours to produce 2 units. Now here they are becoming more experienced, and now they are going to make less consume less time to produce the further units. So now 80 into 80%, we are going to get 64, and we are going to multiply 64 into 4, we are going to get 256 total time of the production of 4 units, right? This is the tabular approach. Now we're going to look at the algebraic approach. Now from the word algebraic, you are going to know that there's going to be some formula for it. So algebraic approach. So now you are seeing in your screens that the formula is y is equal to ax whole power b. So what is y, what is a, what is b, and what is x? So y is the cumulative average time per unit, means the total average time per unit. A is the time to produce the first unit, and what I have told you about the slope, that it has a formula. The formula is log LR. Log LR is the learning rate, means the log of 80% divided by log 2, that is in the base, and x is equal to cumulative time or output, the total time, right? So now let's see with the help of an example. Now this is an example of a BG. BG has recently developed a new product. The nature of their work is repetitive, and it is usual for there to be 80% learning curve effect. Now you're seeing that they have mentioned 80% learning curve effect, and now the time taken for the first unit was 22 minutes. They have told us the learning rate and the time first unit takes is 22 minutes. Now let us see the requirements. What they are saying, that calculate average time per unit when 4 units were produced. Requirement 2, calculate total time for 4 units, and requirement 3 is calculate time for the 4 units. Now requirement 1, calculate average time per unit when 4 units were produced. Now y is equal to ax whole power b. The formula, they are saying calculate the average time per unit when 4 units were produced, right? So now we know what is y. Y is the cumulative average time per unit. B is the slope, x is the cumulative output, and a is the time to produce the first unit. So we have given time to produce the first unit, that is 22 minutes, and we are given we are asked to find out the average time for the 4 units. So our output will be going to be 4, and with the help of that formula of b, log LR divided by log 2, we are going to get minus 0.321. How we have found that is log 80% divided by log 2, we are going to get minus 0.321. and after multiplying it we are going to get our first requirement, why the average time per unit for producing 4 units is 14.0805 minutes, right? So similarly, the requirement to calculate the total time for 4 units, now you know the average time to produce 4 units, average time per unit for 4 units, right? 1 unit takes 14.0805 minutes. Now how much 4 unit will going to take? Simply you will multiply it by 4 and you will going to get total time for 4 unit, that is 56.32. The last requirement is very much interesting because they are not saying to find out the calculate the total time for 4 units. They are saying calculate the time for the fourth unit. So how we are going to find out? We are going to find out with the help of 3 steps. Step number 1, first of all we are going to find out the average time for 4 per unit of 4 units. That is, we know first unit, if we are producing 4 units, then for 4 units we are going to take time. 1 unit we're going to take 14.0805 minutes. Similarly, with the help of formula, just putting the I've just put the values in the formulas, right? So because we are finding the fourth unit, we are required to find the fourth unit. So how we are going to find out the fourth unit? If we know that how much 4 units will going to the average time of 4 units are, then we have to find out the average time of less than 4 units, means 4 minus 1, the previous unit, then the fourth unit. So we have find out the average time of 3 units, just putting the values in the formula. Instead of 4 we have now put 3 because we are finding the average time for 3 units. Now we know the average time of 3 units and average time of 4 units. Now what we are going to do, we are going to find out the total time for 4 units and 3 units, right? Simply multiply 4 by the average time of 4 units and multiply 3 by the average time of 3 units. Now we are going to get for a total time of 4 unit is 56.32 minutes and the total time of 3 unit is 46.34 minutes. So now we are going to subtract them and we are going to get the total time to make the fourth unit, that is 9.98 minutes or 10 minutes approximately. Now this is it for today, and I hope you like this video, and if you enjoyed and learned something from this video, then do like and subscribe my channel. Thank you.